There's a sound I'll never forget. It's not a scream, not a crash, not even the kind of thing you'd expect. It's the sound of a zipper on a backpack, slowly sliding open at the end of a tutoring session. That's where it started. I was standing in the hallway outside my daughter's room, just out of sight, but close enough to hear everything. Her tutor, Miss Alina, was packing up for the day, telling my daughter to review the vocabulary flashcards and ask Daddy if she could stay a bit later next time. I felt that chill. You know the one, where your gut knots before your brain catches up. "Daddy," she giggled, and then, "You smell like his cologne." I didn't breathe, not a twitch, not until I heard the front door close and the sound of her heels tapping down the walkway. Alina, 26, blonder than natural. She wore high-waisted trousers and always called me Mrs. Bloom, like we were still living in 1957. My husband, Sam, insisted she was the best. "A Stanford grad who actually knows how to teach, babe." Funny, he never mentioned how she also apparently knows how to flirt like a real housewife. I stood there, in that silent hallway, staring at my daughter's closed door, heart pounding. I didn't say anything to her. She had done nothing wrong. But I turned and walked straight into the kitchen, poured myself a glass of Pinot, and opened his calendar on my phone. Because here's the thing about betrayal. Your heart knows before your mind does. My heart had been suspicious for weeks. The late meetings, the business dinners that ended past midnight, the carefully shaved stubble when he used to love being scruffy. He even changed his phone lock code from our daughter's birthday to something new. But now I had something real, something spoken, something careless. That one little comment from a child, so pure, so unfiltered, cracked the mirror wide open. Did I confront him that night? Oh, honey, no. That's not who I am. I don't throw plates. I don't cry in kitchens. I strategize. I waited until he was asleep, shirtless, smelling like whiskey and ego, and I pulled his phone from the nightstand. He was snoring softly, mouth slightly open, unaware that his little secret was about to be quietly detonated. Face ID didn't work. But my husband, being the creature of testosterone and habit that he is, still used his iPad for late-night fantasy football. And the best part? That iPad was synced to his iMessages. Within seconds, I was looking at a conversation thread titled, "A for my sunshine." Disgusting. And cliché. The messages? Exactly what you'd expect. "Tonight was perfect. You looked so hot in those jeans, Daddy. Can't wait for another study session." I took screenshots, all of them. Then I airdropped them to myself, locked the iPad, and walked back into the bathroom like I was just getting Advil for a headache. You ever look at someone sleeping? Someone you married? Someone you raised a family with? And suddenly feel like you're staring at a stranger? That's what it felt like. But here's the hook, darling. Here's the twist that keeps you turning the page. I didn't just want to catch him. I wanted to outsmart him. Because this isn't just about revenge. It's about making sure he never forgets who he's dealing with. Stay tuned. The storm hasn't even started yet. If you're ever betrayed, let me give you one piece of advice. Don't act like you know. Not yet. Not until you've turned every stone, logged every call, screenshotted every pixel. Because the only thing more satisfying than revenge is airtight evidence. So I became the detective in my own marriage. First stop, our home Wi-Fi router. Do you know how many husbands forget that their devices auto-connect? I logged in with the admin credentials that I originally set up, thank you very much, and checked the device list. Miss Alina's phone had been connected to our Wi-Fi 5 separate times, on weekends. My husband had told me she only tutored Tuesday and Thursday afternoons. I took photos of the log, dated, time-stamped. Second stop, his location history. Now, Sam's a tech-savvy guy, but he forgot that his Find My was still active on our shared Apple family account. I'd stopped tracking him years ago, mostly because I trusted him like a fool. But when I tapped the little green dot and saw him parked outside an apartment complex in Fremont on a Saturday night he'd told me he was in Redwood for a client pitch, I nearly laughed. Guess who lives in Fremont? Oh yeah. I found her address from the invoice she submitted for tutoring, because the idiot made me pay her through Venmo. Never underestimate the power of electronic breadcrumbs. Third stop, our daughter's school. I casually asked her teacher during pickup one afternoon if I could confirm who had been signing off on tutoring notes for progress reports. Your husband usually handles that, she said. He and Miss Alina seem very involved. She paused like she wanted to say more, then added with a smile, they're quite the team. Quite the team. By then, I had a digital folder labeled Sam's Bullshit, password protected, backed up twice, and stored in the cloud. Screenshots, router logs, message threads, location pings, even a short video from our ring cam of her arriving on a Sunday afternoon when Sam was supposedly at the golf course. He wasn't carrying a golf bag. He was carrying a bottle of wine. Still, I said nothing. And it drove him crazy, I could tell. I'd started changing my schedule, coming home late, smiling a little too sweetly, asking him innocent questions like, do you think we should renew Alina's tutoring contract? While stirring my tea. He started watching me, the way cheaters do when they sense they're being watched. There's a certain poetry to it, isn't there? The liar turning paranoid in their own lie. It's the beginning of their unraveling. And here's where the real planning began. Because I wasn't just going to bust him. That would be too easy, too fleeting. No, I wanted a performance, a moment, a reckoning. I started hosting casual playdates, wine and snacks for the moms, homework for the kids. I invited Alina once, purely as a test. And when she showed up, all blush and breathless, I watched her face when she saw me. Calm, composed, red lipstick on like blood. Mrs. Bloom, she squeaked. Alina, I smiled. So glad you could make it. We were just talking about fidelity. Isn't it such a rare virtue these days? Her laugh came out forced. Her hands trembled a little. And Sam? Oh, Sam stood stiffly in the kitchen, pretending to arrange cheese cubes while looking anywhere but at me. That's when I knew they both felt it. The tremor before the quake. Because the best revenge? It simmers. It waits. It lulls them into thinking they've gotten away with it. Right before the entire illusion collapses. And trust me, the illusion was about to go up in flames. Next up, the charity gala. The perfect place. Public, polished, and oh so perfectly timed for a dramatic little curtain reveal. Tick-tock, Sammy boy. Mama's got plans. The charity gala was always our thing. You know the type. Tuxedos, silk gowns, too much money raised for causes half the room couldn't pronounce. We went every year for his image. Sam liked to say, it's good optics for the firm. Like he was saving the world by drinking champagne in patent leather shoes. This year, I volunteered to co-chair. Oh yes, I was that woman. Clipboard in one hand, vision board in the other, pretending to care about centerpieces while secretly plotting a takedown. I scheduled the gala for a Friday. Why? Because Fridays were tutoring nights now, weren't they? I wanted to make the little minx choose between algebra and adultery, or a room full of Sam's colleagues and future donors. Let's see which fantasy she prefers. The venue? A historic mansion downtown with marble floors and crystal chandeliers. Elegant enough for a fairy tale, cold enough for a guillotine. 2 weeks before the event, I sent out custom invitations. White cardstock, embossed gold font, sealed with wax. The guest list included our closest friends, Sam's law partners, his boss, and, of course, Alina. I made sure she got a +1. You always want to give them the illusion of choice before you drag the rug out. That night, I wore red. Not burgundy, not wine, red. Cut down the back, slit up the thigh, one shoulder bare like I was inviting whispers and feeding rumors with a silver spoon. The kind of dress that says, I am not your victim. I am your reckoning. Sam looked at me like he didn't recognize his wife. You look different, he said. I feel reborn, I replied, applying a final stroke of lipstick in the mirror. Ready? He offered his arm like a good little gentleman. Oh, he still had no clue. At the event, everything was perfect. The champagne flowed, the jazz trio played something sultry. Guests laughed and danced and donated like good little capitalists. I made my rounds, greeting everyone, smiling, shaking hands, but keeping one eye always on the entrance. At exactly 8:12 p.m., she arrived. Alina. Hair curled, dress tight, shoes too high for someone with that much guilt in her spine. She walked in alone, no +1, and scanned the room like a child looking for her parents at a school play. Her eyes landed on Sam, who'd been chatting with one of his partners. He froze for half a second, then quickly looked at me like a man caught with his hand in the cookie jar and the neighbor's bra. I smiled at her, waved her over. Alina, so glad you made it. Her smile wavered. Thank you, Mrs. Bloom. Please, tonight I'm just Harper. Come, I want you to meet the board. The thing about Sam's world is that it's tight. These people know reputations matter more than resumes. One scandal, one little whisper, and the whole tower starts to tilt. I introduced her to everyone, my voice like honey, my eyes like daggers. This is Alina, I said sweetly. She's been working very closely with our family. My daughter just adores her. And Sam? I turned to him. Well, he's practically a second parent at this point, aren't you? His face turned a shade paler. Alina looked like she wanted to bolt, but I wasn't finished, because this was just the rehearsal. The real show? That was next. I had prepared a video montage for the end of the evening, supposedly about the charity's work. Everyone loves a feel-good reel. Smiles, statistics, hopeful music. But I added a little something extra to the end of the slideshow. Just 5 seconds. A blink and you miss it slide with 2 names. White font, black background. No photos, no details. Just Sam Bloom, Alina M. The real cost of betrayal. The lights came back up. Silence rippled. I heard gasps. One man coughed awkwardly. Sam looked like someone had just yanked the floor out from under him. Alina? She was already backing toward the door. I stepped up to the mic. I hope tonight reminded you that every choice we make leaves a mark, I said, voice smooth, steady, on our careers, our communities, our families. And then I smiled. To integrity, in public and in private. The applause came slow, unsure, then scattered into polite claps. But I didn't need cheers. I needed impact. And oh, it landed, like glass in a punch bowl. Sam didn't speak to me the whole ride home. not a word. But I could feel his silence, hot, bitter, vibrating with panic. And I let it marinate, let him sit in the mess he made. Next up, the final blow. Something financial, something unforgettable. Because, darling, we were just getting started. The day after the gala, he packed a bag. Not all of them, just enough to be performative. A suitcase for guilt, a duffel for drama. "I think we need space," he said, standing by the staircase like some tragic Shakespearean husband. "Oh," I replied, sipping coffee. "You think that now?" He blinked, probably expected tears, but I had reached that rare and terrifying level of calm where rage crystallizes into strategy. "Just a week," he said, "to think." I nodded. "Take all the time you need. Think long and hard." The moment the door closed, I opened my laptop. Because here's what Sam didn't know. I'd already met with a divorce attorney 2 weeks before. Quietly, discreetly. Her name was Leslie, and she had the demeanor of a woman who once made a hedge fund manager cry into his protein shake. I had told her everything. About Alina, the texts, the tutoring ruse, the gala grenade. Leslie had smiled, like a woman holding aces. "Is he the primary earner?" "Technically," I'd said, "but I manage the money, and I know where every skeleton lives." So while Sam was off licking his wounds at whatever hotel he thought made him look rich but humble, I was busy filing. Strategic filing, mind you, in a way that ensured I had sole temporary custody. The house remained in my possession. Any marital assets couldn't be touched or moved without a court's nod. I locked down accounts. I revoked his access to the investment portfolio we'd built together, froze the joint cards, and transferred my personal funds into a trust under my name only, something my grandmother, bless her suspicious soul, had advised me to set up after our wedding. Then I made one more call to the private school where our daughter was enrolled. I updated emergency contacts and dropped off a file with safety concerns. No drama, just the truth, that things were sensitive at home, that Alina was not permitted to pick her up under any circumstances. By the end of the week, Sam texted, "Can we talk?" I replied, "Absolutely. I've just finished the paperwork. Happy to walk you through it. You'll be hearing from Leslie." Silence. Then, "Are you serious? We can fix this. Don't do something we'll both regret." I stared at the screen for a moment, then typed, "Oh, I'm not regretting a thing. But you might want to tell your little tutor to start job hunting. Because revenge, darling, isn't just a slap. It's a chess game. And I had just moved my queen. Next move? Public exposure. Quiet, undeniable, and career-ending. Sam always cared more about his reputation than our marriage. Let's be honest, the vows were a formality. The real love story? Him and his image. So that's what I went for next. You know what they say, if you want to wound a narcissist, aim where they think they're bulletproof. Sam worked in high-stakes corporate law, mergers, acquisitions, boardroom chess. His firm, Hamilton Prescott, sold itself as a paragon of integrity. Their motto? Protecting what matters. Ironic, right? So I made an anonymous tip. No, I didn't scream about infidelity. That's tabloid material. I aimed higher, sharper. I sent screenshots of Alina's texts, the flirty ones, the ones referencing Sam's late-night visits, and flagged the most damning part. They were time-stamped during work hours, on weekdays, during company retreats, inside office walls. I made sure to include a note. Just thought HR would want to know about this potential liability. Workplace relationships with subordinates tend to unravel badly. No signature, no IP trail. I used a VPN and a throwaway Proton Mail account named Client Whistle 32. Within 48 hours, the firm launched an internal ethics review. Within a week, Sam was asked to take an indefinite leave of absence pending investigation. He came storming to the house, eyes wild. "You did this," he growled. I tilted my head, calm as ever. Did what? "Don't play dumb. The firm, he faltered. "They got the emails, the texts. Someone exposed us." I sipped my tea. Us? Oh, I wasn't aware I was in the conference room with you and your girlfriend. He stood there, seething, the edges of his composure crumbling. "I could lose everything," he hissed. I looked him dead in the eye. "You already did." He left without slamming the door. That's how I knew the fear had set in. Later that night, I got a call from a blocked number. I let it go to voicemail. Alina's voice, small, frantic. "I don't know what you want from me, but please, please stop. I didn't mean for it to get this far." "Oh, sweet girl, you thought the worst thing you did was sleep with my husband." "No. The worst thing you did was think I'd let it go. And honey, we're still not done. Let me tell you something that broke my heart and sharpened my blade at the same time. It was a Monday afternoon. My daughter, our daughter, came home from school. Quiet. Too quiet. She sat on the kitchen stool with her juice box, legs swinging, eyes fixed on the tile. "Mom," she said, "is Miss Alina my new stepmom now?" I froze mid-stir of the pasta sauce. "Why would you ask that?" She shrugged. "Some kid in my class said she saw Daddy holding Miss Alina's hand at the farmer's market. He told her she was going to be my new mommy." Reader, I saw red. Not just anger, insult. He brought her around our daughter. In public, casual, like it was nothing. Like betrayal could be normalized with one overpriced apple and a handhold. It wasn't enough that he had an affair. He wanted to rewrite our daughter's reality. So I did what any strategic, freshly divorcing woman would do. I put her in therapy. Real therapy. Not some coloring book nonsense. A trauma-informed child psychologist who knew how to spot manipulation from 10 miles away. And yes, I also documented everything. Every time Sam was late to pick up. Every time he asked to reschedule his weekend. Every time he canceled dinner with a last-minute thing, and our daughter cried herself to sleep because Daddy promised. Because in divorce court, custody battles are rarely about who's right. They're about who looks like the stable parent. I didn't have to exaggerate a thing. I just let his inconsistency speak for itself. Meanwhile, I started journaling, daily, about how the affair, the scandal, and the media coverage, yes, it hit a legal blog, had affected our child. I kept receipts of everything. Emotional withdrawal, school performance dips, new bedwetting episodes. Because nothing builds a custody case like showing the judge a timeline of cause and effect tied directly to one parent's choices. And here's the kicker. At our daughter's parent-teacher conference, Sam showed up with Alina. Alina, in a beige trench coat and a performative smile, pretending to be stepmom material. The teacher looked at me like, "Please tell me this isn't real." I just smiled, kissed my daughter's head, and said, "We'll be speaking privately later. This won't happen again." It didn't. Because by the time we got to mediation, Sam had no leg to stand on. Not legally, not ethically, not even parentally. The judge granted me full residential custody. He got alternate weekends, supervised, until further review. Sam looked stunned. Alina didn't show up at court. probably too busy looking for another teaching gig. And me? I walked out holding my daughter's hand. Game, set, maternal match. Next move? Financial annihilation. Divorce, if you do it right, isn't loud. It's surgical, clinical, clean. The way I gutted him financially? Let's just say, scalpel, not sledgehammer. See, Sam always thought he was the smart one. He handled big picture strategy, and I was the details girl, which worked out perfectly because the devil lives in the details. I had been documenting our finances for over a year before the affair even surfaced. I knew his spending habits, his hidden investment accounts, his Roth IRA, and, most importantly, the condo in Tahoe he forgot to tell me he refinanced under his LLC. Oh yes, darling. He thought he could tuck assets away behind shell corporations. Amateur hour. My attorney Leslie, aka the goddess of financial justice, subpoenaed everything. We brought in a forensic accountant who lit up his offshore savings like a Christmas tree. The man was hemorrhaging assets behind my back, and he still thought I hadn't noticed. During the financial disclosures, Sam tried to argue that his income was unreliable after his law firm forced him into early retirement. Translation, they told him he was a liability and cut him off with a severance just big enough to make him shut up. Poor Sammy. He looked so confident walking into mediation. Navy blazer, that smug half smile, still thinking he could charm his way out. Then Leslie slid the binder across the table. I believe this is a comprehensive breakdown of Mr. Bloom's full financial picture, she said. His attorney looked at the first page and blanched. Is this accurate? Oh, yes, Leslie said. Down to the receipt for the Valentine's Day necklace he bought Alina while still married, which he charged on the joint Amex. I didn't even look at Sam. I just uncapped my pen and signed the settlement agreement with a calm flourish. In the end, I walked away with full custody and the house, half his retirement account, 70% of the liquid assets due to hidden finances and fiduciary misconduct, spousal support for 3 years, and ownership of the Tahoe condo, which I sold 6 weeks later at a 22% profit. Sam walked away with guilt, shame, and a monthly payment plan. And Alina? She walked right into unemployment when the story hit local media, and parents dropped her like a hot curling iron. Oh, and did I mention I made a charitable donation in his name? A hefty one. To a women's legal advocacy group. The thank you card got mailed to his address. We're not done yet. The finale's coming. And trust me, it's personal. After the court dates were over, after the house was legally mine, after Sam's ego had been stripped down to direct deposit spousal support, I threw a party. Yes, a party. I called it a new chapter celebration. Sent out paperless invites with gold confetti animations. The guest list? Every friend who'd stuck by me. Every coworker who'd seen the silent unraveling. And, just for spice, a few of Sam's ex-colleagues who were already whispering about what really went down. I catered it, of course, had champagne poured by a bartender named Cole, who looked like karma in human form. The playlist was Beyoncé, Taylor Swift, Adele, and a little Shakira for fire. My daughter was at my sister's. This night was for me. I wore white, the kind of white you wear when the ashes have cooled and you're the last one left standing. Halfway through the party, a delivery arrived, a small envelope addressed to me, no return name. Inside, a handwritten note on cheap stationery. Hope you're happy. You destroyed everything. S. He didn't even have the balls to write my name. I showed the card to Leslie later and she laughed. You didn't destroy anything, she said. You just stopped pretending. And that's exactly what this night was about. No more pretending. People toasted, laughed, danced. And then someone, bless their chaotic soul, pulled up Sam's LinkedIn. It still had him listed as partner at Hamilton Prescott. Should we tell him he got fired by the internet? Someone joked. Oh, let him find out the way I did, I said, clinking glasses. Accidentally. Cruelly. In a room full of people. By 10:30 p.m., I was buzzed on Prosecco and a little victorious madness when I got a text. Unknown number, no name. Just, she left me. Hope it was worth it. I didn't reply. I just held my glass up, turned to my guests, and said, to being underestimated, to being lied to being cheated on, and to making every damn second of it count. The room roared. And me? I smiled. Not because I was over it, but because I was through it. And that, darling, is a far better place to be. 2 more to go. Let's finish what he started. You know what nobody talks about? The ghost of a man who used to live in your house. After the party, the house still smelled like him in certain corners. His aftershave clung to the master bathroom. His cologne haunted the walk-in closet like it hadn't gotten the memo he'd been evicted. Not just from my life, but from every fiber of the home he once claimed as his castle. So I purged him. Not angrily, not dramatically, just decisively. I hired a junk removal team. Told them to take everything from the garage and storage shed. Tools? Gone. Golf clubs? Donated. That vintage record player he never used but insisted we keep for aesthetic? Bye. I burned the journals I used to keep for us. Notes about anniversaries, lists of things I loved about him. Things that, in hindsight, read like a woman trying to convince herself a man had depth. The mattress? Replaced. The bed sheets? Torched in the fire pit out back, with a glass of Merlot in one hand and a playlist titled Good Riddance blasting through my AirPods. But the real cleanse came digitally. I wiped him from my socials, deleted photos, unfollowed his family, even the ones who sent me vague, thinking of you messages without ever really meaning it. Changed my usernames, blocked his number. Then, I did the most satisfying thing of all. I reset the Apple ID on the old iPad, the one he used for those flirty Tutor texts. I repurposed it, gave it to my daughter for schoolwork. A literal clean slate. Let her learn something real from the ashes of that deception. And on a random Tuesday, weeks after the dust had settled, I walked past our old anniversary photo still hanging in the hallway. He was smiling, arm around me, eyes full of lies he hadn't even told yet. I took it down, slid the picture out of the frame, replaced it with a quote from Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Fight for the things that you care about, but do it in a way that will lead others to join you. It felt right, because revenge, in the end, wasn't just about punishing him. It was about freeing me. One part left, and it's the one where I finally become whole. There's a moment, after all the battles are done, when the silence feels strange. No more court dates, no more statements to file, no more digging through digital rot trying to find one more text to prove what I already knew. It was over, and I was still standing. I took a solo trip, nothing flashy. A long weekend in Mendocino, just me, the coastline, and a cabin with no Wi-Fi. I left my daughter with my sister, packed a journal, a bottle of wine, and no expectations. That first night, I stood on the deck, wind tangled in my hair, ocean humming below, and whispered to the dark, "He doesn't get the last word. I do." Because revenge, real revenge, the kind that lasts, isn't about rage. It's about restoration. It's about knowing that the girl who once apologized for being too much is now a woman who owns every inch of her space. It's about finding power in the quiet. And that's what I found. I found the woman who no longer tiptoes around a man's moods. The woman who doesn't waste years making herself smaller to make him feel bigger. The woman who laughs loud, sleeps diagonally across the bed, and doesn't flinch when someone says, "So, what happened with your ex?" I built a new life, slowly, thoughtfully. I started a consulting business, something I always wanted to do, but Sam once said was too risky. It turns out, risk is just another word for freedom when you're no longer afraid. My daughter? She's thriving, happier, lighter. She doesn't ask about Alina anymore. She stopped calling the weekends with her dad weird and just started calling them his time. I never told her all the details. She didn't need to carry that weight. But one day when she's older and someone tries to make her feel like she's too much or too emotional or too dramatic for noticing when something feels wrong, I'll tell her everything. And I'll end the story with this. They thought they could lie. They thought I wouldn't notice. They thought I'd stay quiet. But I made sure every lie had a consequence. That's what real revenge is. It's not just watching them fall. It's rising so high, they can't even see you anymore. And me? I'm already gone.